much you like want to touch your face through all this.
Right. And then once it starts. Oh, okay. Hi, Danielle.
Hello.
Hi. All right. So I'm joined by Danielle de Arakal today. She is an amazing, she's been an AD, assistant director for In the Film World. She's an amazing super mom and wife. She's also a wedding officiant. For me, at least.
I'm
She's my
ordained.
wedding. Yeah, you are ordained. And I think you can totally make a business out of it.
Want to get hitched in quarantine? Do it over the phone.
She's a girl. Yeah. She can do it.
Not really.
But yeah, I appreciate you coming on here today.
Yeah,
thank you for being here.
Asking me.
Yeah. Well,
weird world.
It's a very weird world that we're living in. And you had a very unique experience last year that I thought sort of made you a perfect candidate to bring on here and talk, because you actually lived in the hospital for 7 weeks, having twins. So I don't know if you want to explain. I'm still confused about your twins and like what went on there.
So okay, so we have what are called mono twins. So basically what that means is when most identical twins split, when like one egg becomes two and you have one baby versus two babies, that happens within the first couple days after conception. But mono twins split 6 to 12 days after. So they split a week later than most identical twins do. So, and then babies that split after 12 weeks get into like a conjoined territory. So it's something, the egg waiting that long to split is not common at all. It's like a 1 in 60,000 pregnancy, or 1% of twin pregnancies. So what that means is, if an identical twin splits on time, my body forms a sac around like here's the egg, and then my body forms the bubble around it. That's what ends up being, the amniotic sac. So my body has already formed a sac, thinking, okay, you're just making one baby, and then two babies happened. So trying to use my hand. So my body then does not form a second amniotic sac. So the babies are in the same, I always call it like they're in the same bedroom. So they're sharing the same space. So there's one sac and one placenta. So what makes it such a crazy pregnancy is not that there's additional health risks because they're in the same, the problem becomes their umbilical cords, which is obviously like their connection to me, how they get their nutrients, how they, develop, is at a really high risk of getting tangled, like straight up knots. I saw some pictures where where babies' cords are literally like braided and just in all these kinds of crazy knots, which makes the pregnancy, it has generally about a 50% survival rate in the beginning. So we knew that when I was about 9 weeks pregnant is when we were confirmed to have mono twins. And then the reason you go into the hospital, some moms check in as early as like 24 weeks, basically when the baby reaches viability and can live outside. So I checked in at 27 weeks and 3 days. And my husband Lee and I decided that was kind of, the babies looked great. I wanted to go in at 26. He wanted to go in at 28. So we just kind of split the difference and went in at 27. So the reason you go into the hospital is I am monitored. The babies are monitored for at least when I was there, the first 48 hours I was on a monitor continuously, which is basically, for those of you that haven't had kids, it's two little like dials that are about this big that they position on your stomach to get the heartbeats of the baby, so they can be listening to the baby at all times, so that if one of the babies has a dip in their heart rate that's consecutive and shows that the baby's in distress, I can have a crash C-section within 10 minutes if I had to. And that's the main reason you're in the hospital. You're in the hospital to monitor the babies, because if your umbilical cords are knotted and they get tightened, it can happen super quick. And when you lose one baby, because you have a higher likelihood of losing the second baby. So you want to be where you need to be in case the worst should happen.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm in a group on Facebook for mono twins. And, you know, it's heartbreaking to see like how many moms lose their babies before they even get to the hospital. And then how many babies are actually saved because moms are doing this, because they're in the hospital, because they're listening to what the doctors have to say. And that, you know, I have 2 friends who both had to have crash C-sections. You know, it's like the baby showed that there was problems and they wheeled them in and the babies were out in 10 minutes. So it's just, that's why you're in the hospital. And so for, I was really, really, really lucky. Like we had, when we found out we were having mono twins, our doctor was like, this, if you're going to have twins, this is not the pregnancy you want. Like that was our first appointment with the high risk doctor, who straight up was like, yeah, you don't, this isn't good.
God, well, that would have been terrifying.
It really, you know, it really, really was. And that's the worst. Yeah. Your head goes into a really, really like dark place, like really, really fast. And then you have to, one of the best things, and it's what I tell like any mom who's in the same situation, is you can't worry about something until you know what to worry about. So Lee and I kind of came up with this mentality of, we aren't going to worry and like let ourselves go down the rabbit hole of if their cords are tangled, of if they're going to have any kind of disability because they were born premature, or if they're going to have any kind of disability because they lost blood flow and we couldn't get them out fast enough, or we're just not going to let ourselves get there, and only focus on what we know as a fact right now. As a fact, we know we had mono twins. As a fact, we knew I was going to be in the hospital for a while. We knew for a fact that the farthest my pregnancy would go was 34 weeks. And I'll talk about that in a second. And we focused on what we knew, and we couldn't, you know, speculate if their knots were you just can't do it. Because if you let yourself do it, then touch your face.
I know, it's always
touch my face so much. And so you have to just focus on what you know. So we just kind of like, anytime I would like start to get worried, or he would start to get worried, we'd be like, do we know what we're worrying about? And we're like, not really. Okay, let's stop
it. And what a good, important piece of advice for what's going on in our world right now. I mean, we're panicking, and it's like, well, wait, what do we know what exactly we're panicking about? Let's take a breath.
That's like probably the biggest thing I took away from last year into this year is I don't, you know, I can't worry about what other people are doing, what's happening outside of my house. All I know is my house, my kids, everybody can stay home, and my husband can just go to the market and come home, and that's it. We can go on our daily walks to get some fresh air, but like, I can only worry about me. I can only worry about what germs I bring into my house and what will happen. You know, like my husband and I've had the talk, if one of us gets sick, then we need to like, what's our game plan for the house? But that's all we can do. We had that like minute of a talk, went down that little bit of a rabbit hole, and then we said, okay, now we know what to do if that happens, and we won't worry about it until we have to worry about it. So I guess just to kind of finish the whole, so when I checked into the hospital, it was 27 weeks and 3 days along. I had the best case scenario for the worst case pregnancy. So what that means is they don't let mono twins go past 34 weeks, because as the babies grow, if there is a knot in their cords, 34 weeks is kind of where the balance shifts from it being safer to deliver than it is for them to stay in utero. So we had an elective C-section at 34 weeks. I was really lucky. The babies never had any distress. They never had any dips in their heart rates. There was one scare, one day, because after the first 48 hours, I was on for 24 hours straight. I had more shots and my blood drawn more times than I remember, because it was a lot. I had 8 hours worth of a iron drip because I found out I was anemic and had gestational diabetes. So all the things happened very quickly when I checked in. And so about, how far along was I? I want to say I was probably in like the 31, 32 week range. And at that point, my doctor had let me come off of the monitor. So I was off for an hour midday when my husband and my 3-year-old would visit. Well, I guess she was 2.5 at the time. When they would visit, and then I would come off from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. so I could sleep.
Wow.
And that any other time I was in bed with the monitors on my stomach. And one morning they couldn't find one of the babies on the monitor. So they just found one heartbeat and they couldn't find the second heartbeat. So I'm sitting there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I just woke up and all the, and they had to bring in the big ultrasound machine to like physically find the baby and then find her heartbeat. And like they were just like they were like this. They were one on top of the other. So one baby was just blocking the other one.
Right.
And the nurses were like, she was super like, she kept it super chill. And then like after we were done, I was like, were you just as terrified as I was? And she was like, yes. She was like, I was just so scared. She's like, I was just scared for you. I didn't know. I was like after like we found the babies and they were on and we were like, okay, they're fine. She was like, oh my God, I don't know. I was like, you kept it real calm. I was like, I appreciate it.
What a good nurse.
Yeah.
What a good nurse.
Yeah. My nurses were all so good. So then that was the only like scare we had. And then when I delivered at 34 weeks, they had no knots in their cord. Like which happens, but it's not like usually there's at least some sort of twist or a knot, or at least from what I've researched and seen in like my groups. Like my doctor literally had a nurse with his cell phone ready to like take a picture of the umbilical cord, anticipating it being in a knot.
Oh,
and
crazy knotted.
And my doctor was like, oh, okay, well,
just put the camera away. I don't know. Nothing to see
here. So they were born at 34 weeks, and wow. Grace, who was the first baby born, she was 4 pounds 15 ounces, and Grace and Emily, who was the second baby, was 3 pounds 13 ounces. So then they were Grace had to be on like an oxygen, like a CPAP thing for 3 days, and then they both like had some jaundice and were under the lights for a couple days, and one was in the NICU for 22 days and the other was in the NICU for 23 days.
Oh my gosh.
And then so the whole experience was 10 weeks between me and the baby going to and from the hospital, and and when I was there, it was literally this time last year, I was there from March 4th. And then I left. I had the babies April 18th and left 3 days after, like from postpartum recovery. And then they were discharged early May. I don't remember the date, but early May.
Wow.
So and that was during flu season. So knowing what the flu restrictions were, where kids under a certain age aren't allowed in the hospital. So, but they made a special.
And you have a toddler.
Yeah. So where I was, they actually made a special exception because they know that most of the people in that area are all moms. So, and they're all there for long periods of time. So Lee always had an issue like getting Chloe in because the security guards are like, 2-year-olds can't come in. And he's like, here's my paper that says she can.
She's fine.
My heart breaks for the moms that are inpatient right now because they can't have visitors. They can't have visitors, period. So if I was there now, my husband wouldn't be able to come see me. I wouldn't be able to see my daughter. Like, and I don't know if they even are letting the moms leave the hospital, like, because, and by leave the hospital, I mean, like, go outside to get some air. Cause I had my 1 hour of sunshine time a day. And then I would really just go for like a walk around the hospital grounds, which was funny because the nurses were always like asking me if I wanted a wheelchair to go outside. And I'm like, I physically was fine. I'm in fairly good shape. Like, I was fine. I was literally only there because
of the twins needed monitoring.
Because the babies needed to be monitored. It wasn't at all like who knows how long I would have gone, but I was when I had them at 34 weeks, I was showing no signs of labor, no nothing. So I was perfectly healthy, just stuck.
Yeah.
Like I am now. I just think it's better to be stuck at home than it is to be stuck at the hospital. So that's at least better this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a good point. Like, even in my own pregnancy, having visitors, like mine was a completely normal average pregnancy and a completely normal delivery. It was, quick too. It was a very quick delivery. I was so lucky in those regards, but even so, like having people come visit me makes such a world of difference. Like it cheers you up. Like you're exhausted after delivery.
Yeah.
You've got this new, especially like I was a new mom. You had done it before by this point with your twins, but still having twins is a whole new experience in and of itself. And it's exhausting. And just having like a friend or a parent or a sibling or something come visit you for a minute.
I'm even seeing some states that are banning partners from being in the delivery room. So I want to say it's New York, but I saw a story of a gal who's supposed to deliver in like 2 weeks, and her husband, like per the new rules of the hospital, can't be in there. Which it's like, really, he's having a child too. Like he's still the birth of his, like that to me. I feel so bad for those moms and like those dads too.
They can't be a part of that
craziness that's happening. They can't be there.
That's so sad. It's awful. Gosh, it's a real. We're back to the '60s. Like no dads in the ward. Sit outside and have a cigar
in the waiting room. I feel like the hospital should just like buy cigars and like just mail them out as if it was like the 50s and 60s. Be like, it's a boy. Let me go smoke my cigar.
Hey, did you hear yourself? It's
a boy.
Oh my God. Well. I always joke about my pregnancy being crazy because I had an IUD in and it was like a 1% chance, but like you were of getting pregnant. It was 1% chance of getting pregnant with this IUD, and you were like the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Like you had just like a crazy, like just stroke of lightning in pregnancy, and the fact that it all turned out amazing is a part of that. And that's so great.
Because it was like we were trying for number 2, so like. The second baby was planned, and then it was just like surprise. Now you're gonna have 3, which is great. Like I love being a twin mom. Like they're good babies, and one of them is totally. I can see the babies. One of them is. Let's hope she goes back to sleep. I'd love like they're great babies. And like it makes it easy to not have to go anywhere. The fact that they're little. But what makes it hard is, keeping a 3.5-year-old entertained and active and off of them.
So what are you doing right now, especially right now, since it's limited exposure of outside? Like I know you were very involved with Fit for Mom group or previously.
What are you doing now? So I work out with Fit for Mom Long Beach because I live in Long Beach, California, for everybody that's over in Ohio. So we went from in-person workouts because they banned about 2 weeks ago. They banned all gatherings and non-essential. I think they're probably doing the same thing in Ohio right now.
They've done it already. Yeah.
Yeah. Now they're saying, just basically just don't have people over, like just stay home, which is what everybody should be doing anyway. Cause then it'll just we'll get over it quicker. But, so we started doing like virtual thing. So today there's like a virtual dance party with the kids in the group, and they're on Zoom. They're doing the workouts that way, and we did a couples like date night with everybody on Zoom last night, which was great to talk to other adults. Like that was cool. So making it work while we in whatever way the current situation allows. So with her, we go for a walk every day because she has to. Has so much energy. So I just make sure that when we go for a walk, when we're kind of planning to, I always peek outside to make sure our neighbors aren't out because they have kids too and they're like friends. So I always try to.
And that's hard to explain to a 3.5-year-old. Like, don't go with your friend. Like, don't go running.
So I just don't. So I just don't let her out front when they're out front, so that she doesn't try to run over there to play. And then when we're going for a walk, if she goes and knocks on the door, I just say, they're not home. And then she's like, oh, okay. And just keeps walking away. And then if we see people walking towards us or if we're approaching somebody, we just take the stroller and Chloe in her hand and just go in the street and walk around people to like, just keep our distance. Right. And that's just all we can do. And I 100% talked to my dad's awesome. And he bought Chloe a bounce house. So we're getting that in like 2 days.
Oh, that's great.
So thank you, to Walmart.com for still having like 2 and 3 day shipping. So that'll hopefully help. And we've been just trying. I do really well with structure, which makes sense with what I used to do before I was a stay-at-home mom.
Right. As an assistant director, that's a very
I made schedules.
job.
I made schedules
for the film.
Yeah, I ran movie sets, so I had to keep structure and had to keep a schedule.
Yeah.
So what we do, a kind of our routine that we're settling into, and she seems to be responding really well, is we all get up and have breakfast. And by we all get up, I mean Lee gets up with the girls, and he lets me sleep an extra hour because I've gotten up overnight to nurse and feed the babies.
Right.
So that's our compromise, is I have to get up to feed them. So he gets up in the morning before they need milk.
Yeah.
And then after we do breakfast, we do worksheets. So our preschool, because she's in preschool right now, which, by the way, preschool teachers have the patience of just saints. Like, oh my gosh, like I can't even, like, how they do it. I don't know. I could never do that. So they gave us these packets, and I went on Pinterest, because it's like, if you aren't on Pinterest, it's your best friend right now. Like, for anybody who watches this, you just go to Pinterest and you can find all the things to do. Oh, baby's awake. It's fine. She's not crying. Maybe she'll go back to sleep. So I went on Pinterest and printed out some worksheets, and they gave us a packet of worksheets from the school. And then what I did, which I grabbed so I could like show you what I did. Let's see if I can find one that's written on. Is I put them in like sheet protectors that I never threw away from college. One day I can use these. So I put
sometimes it pays to be a hoarder, you know.
So I know Lee's always like, why? So I kept like a binder of these sheet protectors. I just am weird. And
did you pull them out of the box and go, today is the day?
I did. I pulled them out from like, because like we have this in our garage, we have like all these cabinets, and so when we had the twins, Lee's office got like booted to the garage. Sure. So a filing cabinet of office supplies. And so behind the filing cabinet, I had the binder of sheet protectors that I just, for whatever reason, couldn't get rid of. So I pulled it out and I was like, yes! So what I did was I put them in the sheet protectors so that she just writes on them, and then you can just erase it and reuse it.
Nice.
Which makes it super easy, because then I'm not printing. Like if somebody is worried about, wasting paper and wasting ink and money and stuff, it's like you can
just put them in
put them in a sheet protector that you can buy super cheap, or they sell ones that are like specifically for worksheets, but this is really cheap and it works really, really well. And then reuse it. So we do breakfast and then we do worksheets, and I always make her like, there's one on Pinterest.
Oh, nice.
Put their name. So every morning we write her name so that hopefully she learns how to at least, start writing her name a little bit better. And if you look up my Pinterest, which is Danielle de Arakal, which I think my name is probably on the group or on the live or whatever, or I'll share
we'll put it in the comment here.
I have a board of like
just idea
projects of stuff that you probably have at home, which is what I've kind of really focused on, is like reusing what I can, because I hoard craft projects. Like I just do, like I cross stitch and sew and Cricut and all those fun things. So
and paint. I've got amazing paintings of the shoes. Yeah.
I used to paint shoes. I do like acrylic pour. I like to just create stuff. That's what gets me through like a lot of everything. I guess I talk about like how I coach at the hospital in a second. But so I was going to throw away a cereal box. I literally walked out because the recycling was going to get picked up, and I had the box in my hand because it was like one of those giant like Costco Cheerio boxes. And I was like, opened the lid of the recycling, and I was like, I bet I could use this box. So I just threw away the plastic bag on the inside, and then I kept the box because I was like, I'm sure I can figure out something. And so I went to Pinterest and I typed in cereal box crafts, and I came across an aquarium like a little fake aquarium. So it ended up being, because she's 3.5, her attention span is not very long. So every project we do can really only be like a half hour tops. Like that's kind of the limit. That's kind of the limit you have. I'm seeing if both babies are in.
I was gonna say, uh-oh.
Just one. That's fine. She's chilling. Lee'll get her in a second. Okay, baby.
Aww. Oh my gosh.
Like, what's going on?
I like she's up there standing, looking around, like.
Yeah, they aren't getting up to their feet yet, but they get up on their knees, and we just started the like. I tried to put them down 2 days ago for a nap, and they were both up on their knees looking at each other, just like baby babbling. And I was like, oh my God, it started. Like, it's really cute for everybody that's not me that wanted, because I want them to go to sleep. Have a moment. So anyway, so what I did was, and I found that this has really helped doing multi-day projects, because I was like, hey, Chloe, you want to work on your aquarium? She's like, oh yeah, aquarium project. Yeah. And she would get really excited about it. So I grabbed it so I could show you.
Yeah.
So here's the Cheerios. So the first day we just painted the box.
Oh my
so I just literally got some paint and like a sponge brush.
Yeah.
Just acrylic paint that I had. And we dabbed it. We just painted. And then once we were done, I went through and just kind of made it a little bit darker.
Yeah.
So there's obviously some parent participation. And then the next day I took a big blue piece of construction paper and a light piece of blue paper. And we literally just cut strips, and she glued them down and made the water. And then I glued the water into the box and like filled the edges with blue construction paper. And the next day we did the like seaweed, in which we just took pipe cleaners and wrapped them around rocks.
Oh wow.
She didn't really do well with this one. I had to do that. If I did this again, I would think of a different way to do.
Right, because that was probably hard for her to kind of
so she kind of wasn't digging this. And then if you wanted to, like if you have like river stones, you could paint. You can paint the rock too, which some of them in here are painted, but we did that like a couple weeks ago just as a fun thing. So I just did those because they were literally just sitting on a table outside. And then I took the fish and I cut the shape and then just gave her googly eye stickers, and she decorated.
Let her go crazy on it.
Decorated the fish. Where is my favorite fish? This is my favorite one. It's everybody's mood right now.
That fish, I was just about to say, that fish, like, that.
He's my favorite. Like when I eventually throw away this like fake aquarium, I'm gonna keep this fish.
Please send a photo of just that fish. I'm gonna make it like, I don't know, the profile of this group or something.
I'm gonna keep this fish forever. It's gonna go in like her little book, and then I'm gonna be like, when we were in quarantine,
you made this fish.
So then once we were done with the fish, she put them all in the aquarium, and then I took just if you can see, just like
the string or floss or something.
What's it called? Oh my goodness, like fishing wire.
Oh, okay.
Poked a hole in the top and tied a knot, and then just taped the fish to the back of it so that they kind of like hang.
Float. Yeah.
So we did this a couple days ago, and she's been playing with it, which is why. Like
it's a little, sure.
Here, so 3 of them have fallen off, but and then she's been
matter.
And she's been playing with it.
Yeah.
So that's been a piece of seaweed. So that was a good one, and that took 4 days because we did the box and then the water and then the grass and then the fish.
And how much fun too, because like as you're building it, you talk to her about fish and aquarium.
Yeah. So the Aquarium of the Pacific has live cams. So whenever we were working on the aquarium, I would pull up the live feed of the tank and share it to our TV. So when we were working on the aquarium, we could like watch the fish too.
Oh, how cool.
So we did that a lot, which was great.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we're doing, I'm just like figuring out how to do it, is we're gonna make spring. So I'm gonna take like I've been saving paper towel rolls because you can make those into rain sticks, toilet towel rolls. So I'm gonna paint them white and then let her decorate them. Yeah. And we're gonna glue them down to a piece of paper and then cut green strips to make like the stems of flowers, and then cut pieces of paper to make like the rest of the flower. And We're gonna make flowers next time, I think.
Oh my gosh.
The multiple day things. Oh my goodness, it is windy. The multiple day things seem to work
Really helped.
really well.
That's great.
And then it's just
I'm totally
going
to do that.
What?
I said I'm totally going to do the aquarium with my daughter.
It's super cute. It's just like a cereal box, and it's a really easy.
Well, she's also obsessed with fish and mermaids. Like that's all she wants. Every show's got to be something with a mermaid that we watch. Every fish, she's constantly talking about fish. Like it's so cute. So,
yeah, well, you could do that, and then if you have like a little mermaid toy, you could just play with it like it's a tank. Play in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's like then we do. So after we do our worksheets, I think we got sidetracked, as I often do. So we do our worksheets in the morning, and then after that, we try to do something active, whether it's working out with my group because they do their workouts at like 9:30, or we go for a walk, or Leah's taking her on a bike ride and just literally let her run in the open grass of the park, away from the playground, obviously, because we don't want her to see the playground and want to go there, and we can't let her go there.
We did that yesterday. We took our daughter for a walk, and it was like kind of near the playground. It was like, oh, look at that!
So, or we let her run in the backyard, or once we get about the bounce house, that'll help too. So we definitely try to do something active. And then we do lunch like around noonish when the twins, and then we try to get the twins down for a nap, and we have quiet time, whether or not that means she naps. Today she actually fell asleep, but we've been trying to just do like that's just board time. Like we are trying something new the last few days, which has seemed to be working, where at the time she was supposed to be napping, we tell her like you can either take a nap or you can play in your room you can play with your toys in your room. And we're using like 2 to 3 hours in the middle of the day, generally 2, but like a couple hours in the middle of the day where she has to figure out what to do for herself, or we're not engaging her, so that she's learning how to be bored.
Yeah.
That's great, because the constant stimulation, she needs to learn how to use her imagination. And we found in the last few days, she's really like been using her imagination a lot more. Like she's playing in her dollhouse and starting to like do things that she wasn't had, like conversations with her animals where she's like doing stuff with her like dolls or whatever. So trying to encourage that more. And then once quiet bedroom time is over, then we do whatever craft project we're doing. And that's at Lee's, because my husband cooks. I'm brilliant and
lucky,
brilliant and married a man who can cook. So that's when he makes dinner, or starts dinner, because we have to eat at 5:30 because of the babies. So early.
Yeah.
So we do like a craft project while he's starting dinner, and then we put on a movie. We have dinner and we put on a movie for her to like wind down. And then sometimes during lunch we'll put on like a cartoon, but we trying to not watch TV all the time.
And it's hard. It's such a, because I've been falling back on that way too much since going into quarantine, because it's so easy to do.
Yeah.
It's there, and it's like, oh, mommy needs a break. Here, you just sit in front of the TV.
And if I put on Lion Guard, man, she will sit there and just watch it. Yeah. But then she after we let her watch it, she all of a sudden wants to play Lion Guard, and we'll go for a walk, and she'll be like, Mom, you're the keenest of sight. Dad, you're bestie, you're the strongest. I'm Kion, the leader. Roar to the Pride Land's end. And she will literally stand there staying till the Pride Land's end until Lee and I go Lion Guard defend, and then she will start running.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
It's also it's super cute and also simultaneously really annoying.
Yeah, right. I can imagine. After like the 50th time of doing it, you're like, until the Lion Guard's
Pride Land's end. Okay, go. So, because one thing, just going back to like what I learned last year, was I found that when I was in the hospital, the days that I just like binged watch TV, like I keep seeing all these people saying like, oh, what are you watching on Netflix? Oh, what are you watching on Hulu? Or what are you binging right now? I found that when I binge watch stuff, those are the days that I would get depressed. Like those are the days that I would feel like I would just feel gross. Like I would just be like, that's like the day that you just like, that you get into your own head and you're like, why am I here? What am I doing? Like, this is dumb. Like, oh my gosh, my baby's gonna be okay. Like, those are the days that you can get low. And I noticed that it's like those days when you like sleep in too long and you get really lethargic.
And you're like, I wasted the whole day.
Having that feeling when you physically are not allowed to get up and go do something when, like, I was able to, but my doctors are telling me I can't, and not because of my health. So that's what was like the kicker is I was told I have to be in bed when I'm somebody who's super active and always like up on the go, and I couldn't be. So,
and that's hugely great, not to cut you off there, but like that's such a great metaphor for everybody right now, because so many of us we're not the ones that are at risk. However, we need to do what is necessary to keep those ones safe. Yeah, and that's what you went through.
That's what I went through, except instead of one doctor, it's the United States of America saying, hey, everybody be on bed rest.
Yeah.
So what I found was the days that I binge watched, the days that I just like sat there just like this and did nothing and didn't use my brain and didn't like do something are the days I was the most depressed. So I started, I mean, granted I was a crafter before, so like, it's not something I picked up while I was there. I brought, for if any of, because I shared this in my twin support group, if any of the moms watch this, like I brought craft projects. I brought a giant like coloring Mickey Mouse poster that I colored I think I shared it. Did I share it in the group? Yeah.
Yeah, we did. It's beautiful.
So I did that in the hospital, which was great because my husband brought me he bought this like giant clipboard type thing, and I just sat there and held it up and this, and I just colored like this. And I took it.
Bellies make great tables, they really do.
I will say I was happy I finished it when I did, because like I finished it maybe with 3 weeks left, so I finished it took about a month. Because I could only do it for so long because it would like start to hurt my back because I couldn't color it like a normal human being. I had to like, so I couldn't sit up and over it because then they couldn't read the babies. So that was interesting. And I took up cross stitching, which I still do now. Like I love it. It's I have literally a drawer now in my nightstand of cross stitch stuff. And I actually picked up while in the hospital. I bought a kit at Hobby Lobby and it had all the stuff in it. And then I bought a book on how to make people, and I've done like family portraits for me. And I did a couple Christmas presents for my dad, my brother. I made one for my best friend. Like I made quite a few. And I really love it. I find it super relaxing. But I think why I liked it so much is it's something that I could do while still being in bed. And not having to, move very much in terms of bed rest. Because it's just easier to say that I was on bed rest, even though it technically wasn't bed rest.
But it was. Yeah, it was.
It was, but it wasn't because of it. Anyways, it was, but it wasn't. So it's a weird thing. It's just easier to say bed rest. People understand that.
Sure.
So I was able to still be in bed and not move a bunch, but keep my mind and my hands occupied. So while doing these projects, I was able to focus my attention on something and not just a TV screen. Not a TV screen that's meant to like distract you and meant to just entertain you. Like I had to actually think about it because you have to like, count and do all the things and design it and then figure out the colors and then actually physically doing it. So that's part of the reason I've really tried to not watch as much TV, which I know is so much easier said than done because like we do it, but getting out, and doing stuff. So we have tried to figure out like quarantine projects. Like we want to redo our front planner. So right now we can fit an extra trash bag or two of, bushes in our trash bin every week for trash pickup. So every week I go out there and I cut a little bit more. Finished stringing up lights in the backyard. I point to the backyard like everyone knows that's where my backyard is. Because I'm like, I can see out my window. I can't see. It's pretty. So he finished stringing up this like light project that we were doing in the back. So just keeping yourself busy, like that is another like big thing I took away from last year is that as much as you're like, okay, I'm just going to sit home and like watch TV. It's going to be great. Like you need to keep your brain busy, and you need to keep your brain busy, but not your brain busy thinking about everything that's going on. Like even if it's just like getting a puzzle or like getting a coloring book and just coloring.
There's so many adult coloring books, and like you said, the poster that you did was like gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like that was a coloring book technically, or
it was a big coloring book.
Yeah.
And I framed it, and now it's hanging in the twins' room because I did it for their room. So that was my thing, and that's how doing those things is how I dealt with it. Like that was how I got through. So I know that if I hadn't kept my brain and my hands busy, I would have been completely miserable.
Right.
Because the days that I broke down, because of course there were days I broke down.
Oh, sure.
Those were the days that I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like those are the days I just like watched TV.
Yeah. And it's funny because there is a difference right now, or not just right now, but always there's a difference between like taking a break and doing some self-care and just like watching a show because you're relaxing, and binge watching stuff because you're terrified and paralyzed in anxiety.
Yeah.
And trying to ignore.
Yeah, that's why I worry a lot about like people's mental health through all this. I just hope that people find something that they can do that's not just like watching TV, because I feel like, at least for me, it might not be for everybody, I'm not saying that's like everybody, but at least for me, if I just did that while I was, in my 7-week quarantine last year, I would have been just miserable. Like I would have been it would have been so much harder than it was. Granted, I'm a fairly social person, so I made friends with a lot of the nurses, and so they would like come in and talk to me. So I wasn't, isolated from everybody. Like I still had people to talk to. Because I became friends with the nurses, who I was actually like planning on taking the babies to see them on their birthday, which is next month. I'm not doing that now, but
of course.
I would. So I just be like, look at these little humans you helped me bring into the world.
Yeah. Aww.
But they just, they were awesome, and you can't, I just, my heart, I'm so, nurses deserve all the recognition they're getting and then some. And I hope if anybody takes anything out of all this, they realize how important nurses and teachers are.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure every parent now is like, yeah, my teacher needs a raise.
Yeah, right. Never. Yeah, I saw a good meme that was like, never again will parents question why they get, weekends and 3 days, 3 months off.
3 months off in the summer, right? I know.
Never again.
Because I have a very strong feeling like right now LA is supposed to go back to school end of April and be in school for May, but I wouldn't be surprised if that.
Yeah, they've already started talking about like Ohio, like we're probably not going to go back is what they've anticipated.
My friend in Kansas, they've already canceled the rest of the school year.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but they were supposed to be out for summer. I was talking to her today. They were supposed to be out for summer mid-May. Okay. So they would have gone back for like 2 weeks. So at that point,
they're like,
at that point, everybody's going to be in a routine,
right?
From doing all this for however long, and then
and
then go back for like 2 weeks to get back in the school routine just for.
Right, you'll never get those kids in their desks. They'll just like run around.
If they were going to bring kids back, I would just say like bring back seniors, and then like let everybody else go. Like let seniors come in and like have like the whole thing, because
have their prom, have their whatever they need.
It's like this whole thing. It's your heart, and you think about the people that get sick, and you think about the people that are in the hospital, and the nurses and the first responders, and all the people that are directly affected by the virus itself, like the first line of the virus. But then like it also sucks for people whose graduations are getting canceled. Like you work so hard to get through college and through high school to like have your graduation get canceled, not get that huge milestone moment, or all the people whose weddings are getting I have a couple friends that are wedding photographers, and so all their weddings got canceled, and it's like you feel bad for those brides, and it's you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
obviously your brain immediately goes to, you know, like I said, the first line of the virus and who's actually getting sick, but then like all these other ramifications of
Well,
just like things that suck.
yeah. I mean,
Things
it's
that just
I
suck.
mean, your twins that just had this like amazing birth. It's their first birthday
I know.
kind of stuff.
I know everything that's going on. Like I had their birthday party was April 18th, so I just postponed it till the end of May, and then
Right.
if I have to postpone it again, then I'll just cancel it. But like, you know, after they came into the NICU, they both had to do a physical therapy because they had torticollis in their neck, so they were just like this all
Oh,
the time. They couldn't.
they move their neck
They
all
just
the yeah.
and it was just it's a common twin NICU thing where their necks just their
Yeah.
muscles kind of squeeze right there.
Yeah.
And then they had to do the corrective helmets because it's a super common thing with twins and NICU babies and preemies that their heads are just a little lopsided. So
But you made them so cute. Their little helmets painted their helmets. They look, yeah.
That's one thing I'm really happy that I was crafty. Which if anybody's watching this and their babies need helmets, you can totally get like decals on Etsy. So people make them and sell them. I just made them myself. But
Right.
so we did 5 months of the helmets, and Emily had breast milk jaundice. So her body processing my breast milk gave her jaundice. So she had to like do formula for 2 weeks to like get rid of the jaundice.
I've never even heard of that.
I didn't hear about it until I found out she had breast milk jaundice. Because
Wow.
it's funny because I look at like photos of them side by side because I do like those weekly photos. So I do a photo of them every week to like watch their growth that I did with my first year, and I'm really proud of myself that I've managed to actually like. I just checked last week and I counted and I actually didn't miss a week. I was really proud of myself. I was like,
wow, yeah,
time right. And
good for you. I just having the one. I was like only a month photos. I couldn't do week by week.
Well, we do monthly photos for their like ebook, and we definitely don't have a month 7.
Oh,
like all of a sudden I was like, oh, it's month 8. I was like, oh, we didn't do so their baby book is just gonna have like put like a big question mark and just like own the fact that we missed it.
But you got the week photo, so you could use that from that time.
But if you look at the photo, gosh, I touched my face so much. I didn't really know how much I touched my face. So I was looking at like their photos, and you see like she's like that yellowy color, that jaundice yellow. Yeah. And then like you completely see it, and then you can tell like when we did the breast milk jaundice, because then all of a sudden her and Grace are the same color. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So then we did physical therapy, the helmets, the breast milk jaundice.
Wow.
Right. I feel like there's other stuff. And I think they might have an egg allergy that I'm trying to figure out right now. So I'm just like, there's a lot that's happened in this, in this
just in their world. Like that's just their world. Yeah.
Like I can't. And so I'm allowed to be, and I want like other people to know that they're allowed to be bummed if these things happen. Like if they have to cancel events, like, this is the second year in a row I've had my birthday like under quarantine. Yay! Last year, my birthday was March 15th. Last year I was in the hospital, and this year was like literally the next day they issued the stay-at-home order.
Right.
After my birthday. So like we had canceled our dinner reservations. I still went and got a massage because it hadn't really like hit hard yet.
Right. Yeah.
I went and got a massage. And that was it. And my in-laws came over because again, they hadn't come down hard yet. But yeah, second year in a row that I was like under quarantine. Yay, maybe next year.
Yeah. Next year.
Have a big whole party next year. We'll see if we're maybe it'll be great. So yeah, it's just I just hope that people like let themselves be sad about like, like being sad about having to cancel things and having I was super bummed when they canceled Mom's Night at preschool, and we had tickets to Disney on Ice, and Disney on Ice got canceled, and all the
Baby Shark Live. I just got the notification today. I was taking my daughter to Baby Shark Live in May for her birthday in May, and they're already like, no, it's not going to happen. I'm like,
Disney on Ice
it's going to be October. Baby Shark.
They didn't postpone it. They just said, but it comes around twice a year, so I'll just have to take her next time. But I was like super bummed, and we were going to go to Disneyland for my birthday, and then they closed Disneyland. So and granted, I think it is completely the correct call. Like everything that's closing, like it's totally the right thing and canceling all these events, but you can be bummed about it. You can allow yourself to be sad about it.
It's okay to feel that.
But then my mentality, and it's always been the way I've thought, is like, okay, what's the silver lining of all this? Like, what? And it's something that I really dug into last year when I was in the hospital. Is what's the silver lining of all this? So the silver lining of everything getting canceled, the silver lining of what's happening in the world. Like we are doing what we can to make it not as bad. So by canceling all these events, like, yeah, it's a bummer, but you're helping people, but you're keeping people healthy. And this, like a silver lining of being stuck at home is everybody is all of a sudden rediscovering their family and really having more personal conversations with people. Because when you video chat, you know, when was the last time we talked on the phone? It's been, you know, we don't talk very often, but like it's, I feel like people are reaching out more because they want that human connection. So all of a sudden you're able to reconnect with some people. So I always try to find that. Now, obviously there's things you can't find a silver lining for, like if you get it, like there's really nothing to get. That's, you won't touch that. But if you are healthy and you're at home and you're bummed about these events being canceled, or you're bummed that you can't go, or you're frustrated with your family, it's like, you know, the silver lining on this is if you're home, hey, you're healthy. You know, and like my silver lining in the hospital for 7 weeks was always like, you know, this sucks because it does. I was in bed for 16 hours a day and was on a diabetic hospital diet. And it's just, you know, I was getting a blood thinner shot twice a day because I was in bed. So they gave me a blood thinner so that I wouldn't like get a blood clot. And that shot was like painful every morning and every night. And then I would have to get, after an hour after every meal, they'd have to check my blood sugar. Until we got to a point where we had it totally under control. So they just would check it in the morning. And then if it was fine, then they'd be like, all right, then they would check it the rest of the day. So, you know, at one point for about 3 weeks, I would get 6 shots a day, including but just like the finger prick I'm counting. So it was 2 like full shots and then like the blood test there. But my silver lining, it's like, as much as that experience sucked, was I met some phenomenal women, which were all my nurses, and like my doctor was awesome. So my silver lining was like, I met these great people. I took the time to do things I wanted to do while I was there, which was cross stitch and do some craft projects. And I knew it was probably, even though being in a bed sucked, being pregnant with twins, it was better on my body. I wasn't up moving around, picking up my 2.5-year-old. So I definitely probably had a more comfortable pregnancy in terms of the physical demands on my body. And then obviously the biggest thing was, if my babies had a problem, I was where I needed to be. Exactly. And that was how that was always just like, if I started to think dark, I would just always go back to that. Like, I'm where I need to be if something happens.
Did you ever write that down or anything?
Like a journal, or what do you mean?
Or a journal or somewhere where you could like look at it, or
I didn't. I never did, but I did hang up ultrasound pictures. So my husband, I keep saying my husband because not everybody knows his name is Lee. I know you know his name is Lee, but anybody that's watching. So you're like, yeah, Danielle, I know who he is. Hung out with him quite a few times. So he printed me, and I totally recommend this for any moms in my situation, or even if like you have to go to the hospital because you're sick. He printed me those like pig tiles, those like little square like tiles that you keep seeing on like Instagram. But you'll now see on Instagram because your phone hears me talking about it.
Sure.
So right. So he ordered me a bunch of those. So we hung them all up in the hospital, like in my room. So we like straight up decorated my room, and I always had flowers and I always had color, and I just never let it feel like drab, which hospitals do. Like hospitals they're just depressing images. Like they're never They just are. So I like decorated. I hung up, like, you know, having a birthday in the hospital, I kept all my birthday cards hung up on the wall. I just taped them to the wall. And it made it better. And I would always, you know, I'd never put anything behind me, obviously, because there was all like the doodads, but I put everything in front of me on the side of a big wall. They gave me like the biggest room in that unit because they knew I was going to be there
for a while.
Yeah. They hear my mom and they're like, okay, let's find her
comfortable
because she might be here a while. So I decorated and I made it feel like home. And you know, there's some moms that like bring in mini fridges, and like there's some moms that bring in a lot of stuff, and just making it like, I brought my own towels, I brought, you know, everything I could, and then brought my own like big blanket, my own pillows. And it just made it more comfortable. And that's kind of all you can do in that situation. And it's like, if somebody, you know, God forbid, like somebody does catch it, this whole thing, and they have to go to the hospital, it's like, granted, that's a different situation because you're there because you're sick than what I was doing. But for me, it's like, if I caught it and had to go to the hospital, which would obviously be terrible, but I would make sure that like I just have flowers, like something to just make it feel
strong while you're there.
Feel happier, like give yourself something to focus on that's not hospital sadness.
Right.
You know, whether that's, you know, even if it's just like a book, and granted, I don't know how, you know, you are when you have it and you're in the hospital, because I don't know anybody. Luckily, I don't know anybody that has had to do that. And I assume, you know, if you're on a respirator, you can't really do much. But even just like something to look at, something that makes you focus, like a picture of your family, or like what you're, you know, what is still going to be there at the end of all this.
Right.
Because the people that are still going to be there at the end of all this, regardless if you get sick or not, are your family, are the people you're stuck at home with. Who, while your 3-year-old might be like so annoying, and like we love them so much, but it's a lot.
But it's okay to also acknowledge they're
annoyed. Moms everywhere are super annoyed with their kids. Like they just are. But at the end of this, it's like you grow closer, and that's like
that's the
silver lining of it. If you don't get sick, that's your silver lining of this whole thing, is like you grow closer to your family, and you know, take the times that you're not frustrated to build, you know, to make memories, to have you know, to have a movie night, like pop some popcorn and watch a movie one night, or you know, build a tent in the backyard, build an obstacle course, go for a run. I did a sidewalk chalk obstacle course for my neighbors.
Which I love that. You posted that in the group. And it was so cute.
Chloe wanted nothing to do with that. I was like, so excited, thinking, oh my God, she's gonna love it. It's gonna be so much fun. We're gonna do chalk. And totally awake so far. They're totally awake, but they're just like sitting. It's fine. They start squawking now. Maybe going. So I was like, oh, you're gonna love it. It's gonna be so fun. I'm gonna like tape this whole thing down. We're gonna color the squares and then pull it up. It's gonna be this cool design. And I was like, what do you know, trying to get her to like engage her. And I was like, what do you want the next obstacle to be? Like, do you want to spin? Do you want to jump? Do you want to? She's just like, go run, and then like ran past the whole thing. And the whole thing was just like, I want to go run. I'm like, no, that's not the point. And so I got super frustrated. Because I was trying to engage her and she was not having it, which is, you know, going to be common, I feel like, with a lot of other.
It's a lesson. It's a lesson that I've been working on so hard, because there's so many times where I'm like, we're going to do this thing. And she's like, no, we're not.
It's a lesson in patience is what this whole thing is. Like, at least for us, that's what I'm trying to take away from it, is how to be more patient and more forgiving and understand like how they're feeling and why they're acting the way they're acting, and really like observe a little bit more than you can when like observe no more while you can when you're home, as opposed to like, I can't observe her when I'm, you know, running around from preschool and to swim class, and we go to Knott's Berry Farm a lot, or to the park. Like it's when you're going, it's hard to understand how certain things work.
Wow.
So,
yeah,
what I'm trying to do, whether or not I'm going to be successful, I don't know.
But it's a good goal to it.
Yeah, it's a good goal. And then, like I said, at least this time I'm home.
Right. Yeah, it's before.
I'm happy that, my whole experience happened last year, because I couldn't imagine this year and not being able to have visitors. Like that would make it significantly harder. But and I was talking to, I forget who was I talking to about it. So I was talking to a friend about it the other day, about how if this was all going to happen in our lifetime, how happy I am that technology is where it is. And not in terms of finding a vaccine or a cure or whatever. Like that's not what I mean. But in terms of that we can do this, like you and I can talk face to face,
right,
and then share, our thoughts with other people, and that we have Zoom, and that you can, last night Lee and I had a great night with 10 other people on Zoom, just all playing that, that silly game where you're like, who does this more? And you have to hold up a shoe of.
Oh yeah.
They played at weddings a lot, so we played that, and it was so we were on with them for an hour and a half. We had so much fun.
Yeah.
So we're lucky that
we're so lucky we live in the time we do.
Live in the time we do, that we can do this. If this would have happened, because even in my lifetime, I remember before internet, because I'm, and you too, but we were teenagers when internet started coming around. So if we were younger, if this happened in the 90s before, I'm saying in our lifetime, if this happened in the 90s before you had internet, you would just literally be able to call somebody on the phone and that's it. No face-to-face contact, and it would be significantly harder. So
if anybody wanted to be on the phone at the same time, hell would break loose.
Yeah. Or if you wanted to be on the internet.
Who's arguing the phone?
Or you want to be on the internet. So it's, our generation is the last generation that remembers pre-internet, pre this kind of stuff. So I feel like it's, when you kind of reflect on it, you appreciate that we're able to talk face to face. You know what I mean? We were able to talk on a video chat.
Absolutely.
And stay more connected than we would if we didn't have this kind of stuff. Granted, you have the flip side of all the people on social media spreading things they are ridiculous about. Sure. But
there's a negative side to everything.
But in my life, instead of focusing on that, I focus on the fact that the positive side of it is, okay, we can all still communicate.
Yeah, which is a great thing to do.
Which is what you need to do. Even if you are stuck in the hospital, using FaceTime, the moms that have to deliver without their spouse, it's if they set up FaceTime, you have to go to doctor's appointments by yourself or ultrasounds or whatever. It's you FaceTime, use the technology you have. And if you don't, can you tell a cloud just rolled in? I feel like if you don't know how to use something, figure it out. Learn how to do it. Watch there's a YouTube tutorial
for just about everything you want.
For just about everything.
Well, we should probably wrap up anyways.
Sorry, I hope I'm see. Yeah, there's a baby crying.
Yeah.
I hope that was kind of what you were.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, you thank you so much. You really helped. I just wanted to, we hit on 2 points, again, what to do in hospital and stuff, because I think we're going to see a lot of people ending up in hospital soon. So sort of getting them already mentally prepared to go there, I think is important.
Yeah. And something that definitely is one thing to do is just take a moment, because at least, if you start feeling yourself going down the rabbit hole and thinking about it, give yourself a 5-minute timer and be like, okay, if I were to get sick, what is my game plan? Okay, here's my game plan. I've thought, what Lee and I did. If one of us gets sick, we have a game plan on how to quarantine one of us in the room. We spent 5 minutes, we talked about it, and now once you develop a plan, your brain is free to think about other things. So now once you kind of are like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Should that happen? I know what to do. Go me, lock that up and throw away the key. And then if I need to take that key, it's way over here. Let me grab it and unlock it and do what I need to do.
And go from there. Yeah.
Yeah. So just know, if you do feel like, if you are worried about it, just know, okay, if I have to go to the hospital, let me just know I'm going to grab these couple things and then and then I'll go and I have what I need. And what you need to try to be healthy.
Yeah.
And just help. Just like if you're thinking, hey, I want to go out. No, just don't do it. It's just not worth it.
Just don't go anywhere. Making it harder for the rest of us. Stay home, everybody. Right. Yeah. And to what you said though, this is an amazing time to start creating things. This is a good, you brought up a lot of amazing resources for people to create stuff with their kids or without their kids, like the cross stitching and stuff like that. There's like all these amazing resources to stay healthy and take up a hobby like that. Like,
there's a lot. Yeah, like find a hobby that you enjoy and and exhaust it right now. Like, luckily, things are still delivering. So if you're like, oh, I don't have what I need for it, like I'm sure something will deliver to your house. Whether you may have to wait a couple days, but
or even Target still have the drive up thing. You can,
or find stuff you can do around your house, like
like the cereal box you did.
Use a cereal box, or if you have a little one, go for a walk and take leaves, and then take the leaves and just like paint and color the leaves. Like you can do. There's a lot of things that you can do if you just open your brain around it. If you just start thinking a little bit outside the box. Hey, I found the cereal box.
Hey. Oh, well, thank you so much, Danielle. You're inspiring to me. You helped me so much just right before, because I was like having a frustrated moment. And you're like, hey, I'm going to take a shower before I get on the call. And I was like, a shower. That's why I have like horrible wet hair. Because I was like, that's what I'm missing.
When you texted me and you were like, the other day, and you were saying like either 2 o'clock. And I was like, well, between 2 and 2:30, we'll see when I get everybody to sleep. Yeah. But they've been like, not taking their afternoon nap if they take a morning one. So we just didn't give them a morning nap. So they fell asleep at like 1, which is why they're totally awake right now. But I was like, they were asleep at 1. I was like, I have an hour. I was like, I told Lee, I was like, I'm going to take a shower because I can. Like, I was like, it's going to wash my hair. Because, honestly, like, that's another thing is like the other day I did my makeup and I did my hair and I like put on jeans just because it felt better. It just feels better to not be in my pajamas all the time. Like, get dressed. Like, just make your day feel still like a day. Don't if you just, like, grunge the whole time, it's gonna start weighing on your brain. You have to still give yourself motivation. And one thing that Lee learned from I want to say he learned it in a class in college, that motivation is a finite resource. Like, you don't have motivation all the time. So if you feel like you have some motivation to clean the house or do a project or go for a walk or get dressed or take a shower, like, use it, because you aren't always motivated to do that.
Right.
So whenever I'm like, if I'm sitting on the couch and I'm just like in a funk and I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I kind of want to do this. Get up and do it, because you have the motivation to do it. Like the other day I was super in my head and not in a good headspace. So Lee, being the great husband he is, took all the girls for a walk, and I went outside and started cutting the bushes, like my my quarantine project. And I felt so much better because I got up and I did something. And I occupied my hands and I occupied my brain, and I wasn't just sitting on the couch eating.
Yeah. Because the snack attacks are real, very real for me. They're so real. I'm feeling something. I better have a snack.
Yeah, right? So.
Well, again, thank you so much for joining me. This was amazing. Yeah. And you're amazing.
You're amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for being a part of the group.
Okay, of course. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.